Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second HRB TMRN START Competition Q&A webinar. My name is Tom Conway, and I'm here with Elaine Finucane, and we're both organisers for the HRB TMRN START Competition. So the purpose of this webinar is to hopefully answer some questions that teachers and students have asked us about the competition. But again, for those of you that are new to the START competition, I might take a few minutes to explain the origins of it. So questions like, does it help your fitness to have an event as a goal when you are training? Can cartoons and comics help children to achieve better results in tests? How would you even find out? START encourages primary school students to come up with interesting questions and to design and run trials and to answer them in a scientific way. Professor Declan Devan and Dr. Sandra McGalvin developed the START competition, or what the school's teaching awareness of randomised trials, to celebrate International Clinical Trials Day on the 20th of May every year. So International Clinical Trials Day on May 20th, it marks the anniversary of the first randomised clinical trial, which took place in 1747 in the British Navy. So pictured here of a man named James Lind, and he was a Scottish doctor. He was a pioneer of naval hygiene in the Royal Navy. And he conducted one of the first ever clinical trials. He developed the theory that citrus fruits cured scurvy. So after 8 weeks at sea, when scurvy began to take its toll on the crew of the ship, and I'm sure students will know that scurvy is caused by a lack of fresh fruit and veg, Lynn decided to test his idea that the putrefaction of the body was caused by the disease could be prevented with acids. So he divided the 12 sick sailors into 6 pairs, and he provided each of the pairs with a different supplement in their diet. And these supplements for each of the pairs, one pair got cider, one pair got vitriolic elixir, one pair got vinegar, one pair got seawater, one pair got 2 oranges and a lemon. So only 2 of the sailors, out of all the 6 pairs, only the pair that took the fruit improved, even though the oranges and lemons ran out after 6 days. So Lind himself wrote that the most sudden and visible good effects were perceived from the use of oranges and lemons. One of those who had taken them, being at the end of the 6 days, was fit for duty, and the other was best recovered of any in his condition. And it turned out that the two sailors that took the fruit, or the oranges and lemons, were able to help out with giving the rest of the 6 sailors the fruit. So in order to celebrate this occasion, the HRB TMRN needs the help of you guys. So we invite primary school students in 4th, 5th and 6th classes to lead on an exciting project and create your very own fun randomised clinical trial. So there's a short clip I'd like to play you that captures the day. And this is the day when the top 3 schools come into the university, and we have workshops, and we have loads of lovely food, and also we have a prize giving ceremony.
Today we're celebrating International Clinical Trials Day, and we're doing so in NUI Galway as part of the HRB Trials Methodology Research Network. We've challenged primary school children to design their own randomised trial. We've done that by inviting schools to participate in the START competition. And the START competition asks children and their teachers to identify a question that they think could be answered within the context of a clinical trial.
Our project was where we studied to see if maths games helped improve your maths test results.
Our project was about if teachers can influence what children do.
Our project was about if fidgeting impacts your concentration in a positive or a negative way.
Everybody knows that exercise is great for your health. There are school campaigns targeting fitness levels. Operation Transformation is a TV show that promotes getting active while enjoying themselves for 10 minutes daily. So this got us wondering if as little as 10 minutes exercise daily could actually have an effect on our fitness levels. And does our general perception of exercise change?
Some of the students that have taken part in this are going to be the scientists of tomorrow, but all of them are going to be the citizens of tomorrow, and it's so important that all of us understand something about evidence, so that can help us when we're making choices about health.
They're getting them to talk about the work they've done, but also getting them to highlight to us their knowledge about trials and how they've taken that knowledge forward and how it's going to influence what they say to their families, their peers, their other classrooms.
It allows us as teachers to deliver elements of the curriculum that would be quite difficult for us to do in a structured way on our own. In particular, allows us to access health information as part of the social, personal and health education curriculum.
The single most important message to take home from today is that you 4 schools are already winners. You 4 schools have been ranked amongst the best of all the entries we had, and that's why you're here today. So first, second, third place, doesn't really matter, you're all winners.
Because the competition had such a high quality this year, the judges found it very hard to pick between the 2 schools that were jousting for third place. They have agreed to put 2 schools joint third place. So in no particular order, the first school is St. Michael's Castlebar. The other school in third place was Mean Toes from Killarney. So now we come to second place. Let's guess who got first place. The Effective Fidgeting and Concentration by St. Joseph's from Kinvara.
It's important because the people who are taking part in START are the future. They're the public, they're the patients, they're the trial methodologists, they're the researchers. They are simply the future.
That was a lovely video that highlights the day and all the activity and excitement that goes with it.
Great fun.
Great fun. And so, yeah, we've been asked, me and Elaine, we've been asked a lot of questions to do with the START competition from both teachers and students. So we're hopefully just going to answer a few of them here in case these help other people as well. So I'm going to ask Elaine, one of the questions is, what parts of the curriculum does the START competition cover?
Well, I suppose really the START competition covers such a vast array of topics that it really touches on a lot of the curriculum. And one of the ones that would be an obvious choice would be maths. You need to collect and analyze data to do some of the trial steps. So that's, you're going to see the effects of their intervention. So this means you're comparing the results of 2 groups of participants that are involved in the trial, see the difference in their effects. But it's a really hands-on practical use of the maths. So really interesting, keeps it nice and fun and light for the students.
Excellent. And there's also seems to be a science element to it as well, and that the clinical trial is like any science experiment. It needs participants to stick to a set of rules and procedures in order to get these best results. So the project, the START competition also has the ability to help teach children the foundations around which the processes around where evidence for the informed healthcare decisions are made.
Another one that would be SPHE. START competition really helps students develop the critical thinking to question health choices or choices that they're going to make around their own health and well-being. And it helps create a sense of personal responsibility for everyday decisions that they'll make. By working in a team or as a class or as a school, the students are able to see each other's strengths in delivering such a project.
Yeah, and also English or Irish, depending if they want to submit their trial in English or Irish. But when they're presenting their project findings, it requires the students to be able to compile the findings in a clear and concise way. So a good use of English and Irish there.
Another one which probably isn't very obvious when you think about clinical trials is visual arts. there's really no restrictions on the format that you can present your trial, your findings. We've had vast and varied methods of presenting them, and so people have used videos, books, online tools, and you're just encouraged, websites, you're encouraged to be as creative and use any format that you feel displays your results to the best.
And also they can go on to, if you go to the START competition website, you can look at the winners, the top 3 from the last 3 years, and you can see all these different ways that they've presented their trials. There's also ICT, or information and communication technology. So the START project usually requires the students to understand the processes involved in research. So, and we have a wide range of online resources that we make available to students to help them with this on our website. So students can also use technology to present their work.
And also, even in, we've had students who've used technology. So we had, like, last year's school that used an online randomisation tool, which they downloaded just to help them develop their trial design. So whichever way, you know, you find is available to you, you're more than welcome to use it.
Yeah.
Another question we had was around travel expenses. So people had asked what expense would be covered. So we invite the top 3 schools to come to the university the day of the presentation and the awards day, and we will cover all of their expenses for that day. It's a great day, a great fun day, great for us as well as for the kids. Lots of food, nice food, donuts, lots of boots.
The travel food for the way home.
No, really, really exciting day, and again, all the expenses for that day are covered by us.
Yeah, so the buses to and from, and the goodie bag as well for the way home. And then one of the teachers would ask, what sort of resources do you have online? So when we go to the website, I'm going to try and get it up here on screen.
Yeah, we have a couple of resources. So we have a step-by-step guide for teachers and students, which I have to say is really informative. It actually literally just goes through your trials, like from deciding your trial question down to selecting your outcomes, registering your trial. So it's very methodological.
That's right.
And how it's set out, really easy to follow for both teachers and students. But again, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact us. We also have a trial registration form online, sample consent forms online, and then a trial planning worksheet, so that it helps you plan out how you're going to design, implement, conduct your trial, and write up your findings. And then we also have the competition rules. But again, we're available by email. You can contact us through the website at any stage if you have any further questions that you don't feel are covered in that.
Yeah, so on there on the screen now is the START website. So what I've done there is, when you come to public engagement, you click on START there, just go down. We have all the important details, such as the dates, a bit of explanation about the competition, and then these forms are the ones that Elaine was just talking about. So there's an invitation letter, I would say the step-by-step guide is probably the most important, as that would be the one that will help you the most. So we might go through the steps involved in doing a trial for START. So as our guide outlines here, there's 8 steps outlined, and the first step is normally deciding on your trial question, and we have how much time it should take and the difficulty of each step in each section, so you kind of know how much will be involved in doing it. So coming up with a good trial question, we have examples there of I suppose trial questions. A good thing to do is, if you are interested in taking part, is to go to the website to look at the previous schools' entrance, like in the questions they had. So our winners from last year, St. Joseph's and Favara, their trial question was, are teachers always right? Does visiting distract us from learning?
Good question.
Very good question. And very good findings as well, that fidgeting, if it's silent, it helps. So they gave blue tack for the kids to fidget, or the students to fidget with. So,
and one thing, I think it was asked in the last webinar of Professor Javan, is whether it has to be a science-based question. It doesn't at all. It can be any question you want, but it has to be able to be evaluated or answered in a scientific manner. So you have to be able to use the trial steps to answer your question. Once you can do that, we're happy for you to have any type of question that you want to submit to us.
Yeah. So it'll be the first step. The second step then is registering your trial. And this just involves filling out the trial registration sheet that's on the website or the webpage we just showed you, and emailing it into us or post it. You can email it to hrb-tmrn@nuigalway.ie or post it to room 235, first floor, or Smaola School Nursing Midwifery, NUI Galway. And they're all them details are there on the form. So you just, you come up with your question and you fill out that sheet, you send it in to us.
So the next steps then are kind of basically coming down to designing your trial. So the next step will be just selecting your outcomes. So you've kind of selected your question. So say your question is, does eating chocolate help concentration?
Yeah.
So eating the chocolate is going to be your intervention, and then you have to decide your outcomes. So like the example they've given here is, can using colored pens for writing spelling tests increase student scores? So you're comparing the average test scores of the students that use colored pens to do their tests with the average test scores of those that use regular paper. Again, this is kind of a systematic approach to it. So a bit of time and thought to go into selecting your outcomes.
Probably the most difficult part is
I actually think once you get your question, everything kind of follows on from that. So getting the question right, making sure everybody's happy with the question is a really good start. The fourth one then is identifying who's taking part in your study. So your participants. So you're going to decide who you want in it, what age group, if it's to do with boys or girls, or short or tall, whatever your criteria is of who you want to be involved in your trial. So that's the next step, is you're going to identify, so you're going to explain it properly, and you'll need to get each participant to sign a consent sheet. So like I said, we have examples of those consent sheets on the START website, and you can use those if you need to adapt them or whatever to suit your own trial. And we just get them to give you written permission to take part in it, that they fully understand that they're taking part in the trial.
And the funny thing is that a lot of the schools classes tend to use other classes in the school as well. So I think that adds extra bit of fun when they use the other classes as the participants.
Yeah, we've had 6th years using 5th year,
exactly.
6th class using 5th class. So then the next step will be to divide up your participants into groups. Now, I suppose, because the thing with trials is you want it to be as fair an evaluation as possible. So you're comparing the effect of one thing against another. So like eating dark chocolate doesn't help your concentration. So your intervention there will be eating dark chocolate, and your comparison will be against doing nothing, so not eating chocolate. So you want to make sure that comparison is as fair as possible. And the best way to do that is to randomly assign people into groups. So it can be done anyway. It's like a lucky dip. So long as people, they don't know that they're being assigned to a certain group until they're actually assigned. It's randomly done. It can be done in many ways. Like I said, last year we had a school that downloaded an online randomizer, and they just pressed a button and they were randomized into Group A or Group B. You can put names into a hat and pull them out, just so long as it's anonymously done, that people don't know which group they're pulling for. And you're doing that to keep it as fair as possible, so that you're trying to get the groups to be as even as possible. And if you do that randomly, you have more chance of people, say, who really love chocolate ending up in both groups, or people who would like to eat chocolate because they think it's going to make them do well in the test afterwards will end up in both groups.
Yeah.
So you get even groups, and that's why you do it randomly.
Yeah, it's important that it's randomized. It means that no one can intentionally or unintentionally influence what's going to happen in each group.
So you randomize them then into an intervention group and a comparator group. And so the intervention group are the group who will do what you're investigating. So if it's eating chocolate to improve concentration, the intervention group will eat the chocolate. Unfortunately, the comparator group won't. So that's why you do it randomly. So because I would think that a lot of people would like to be in the eating chocolate group.
Yeah, I'm going
Fair assumption, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. So they're the important reasons. And then I suppose step 6 is to kind of make it a secret. So this is, I suppose, what we call blinding the participants. So the participants don't know what group they're in. And one of the things we found as well, I know here's difficulty is 3, but from some talking that we were doing to some of the schools, they found this part to be really the most exciting bit, to try and keep the secret from the participants, that what they were looking at and what the control group was doing and what the experimental group was doing. But it is very important that if you are using the younger class, or if your brother or sister's in the class that you're using as your participants, that you have to keep it secret. So as it says here, can you keep your tests your secret? If so, this means your results will be extra reliable because you'll have stopped people in the control group from becoming part of the tests. So yeah, this is, again, this will determine how good are you at keeping secrets from your participants. Then we have step 7 is conducting your study. So this can take 1 to 2 weeks, and it's got the difficulty level here is 2. So it says here, as you're good to go, you work with your trial participants and you teach them what they need to do. And this is, you're conducting your study. You're looking at you've got your research question, you've got your control group and your experimental group, and you start collecting the information you need to see, is your test having any difference.
So this is kind of the hands-on part. So you're actually doing the trial now, the real fun part.
You're a scientist now.
Yeah, you're kind of a scientist the whole way through.
Yeah.
But it's a really hands-on part. So now is the part where you're kind of giving out your intervention, making sure your comparator group stay in their comparator group, and you're now starting to collect the information and data from them, see what your results are, and you're doing an analysis, you're analyzing. So if you have done, say, like go back again to the eating chocolate, does it improve your concentration? If you did a test of both groups, those who ate chocolate and those who didn't, on a concentration test afterwards, you're going to see, does the chocolate group do better in the test, or does the comparator group do better in the test? You're going to analyze those results. And the next step then is you're going to report those findings. So like I said before, you can report those any way you want, any media you want. So you can use internet, online, you can use paper, you can use
podcasts,
art, you can do whatever you want. We're very interested to see what novel ways you come up with to report your findings. I suppose the thing to remember in the whole design process is that you want it to be as systematic as possible. So you want that if, when you are finished your trial, next year's 6th class wanted to do the trial again, that they can go back and just follow your steps, and that if they follow your steps exactly, they'll be able to replicate the exact same trial that you've just done there. And that's really important, and that's why we kind of map out the steps that we want you to do. So that's the goal, is that if somebody were to come along in 10 years' time, another class, they could see exactly what you've done, how you got your results, and how you reported them.
Exactly. And as an important line here, I think as well, remember, if you find no difference, it's still an important result as well. So I think that's always important to remember.
Or if you find that it's a negative, so if you find that something didn't work, that's as important as finding that something did work.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, all results are useful.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. So that's the 8 steps we have there from our step-by-step guide. So again, as I said, that can be found online on our website. We hope we've...
And one of the other questions, Tom, was who can they contact if they have any other questions?
So they can contact the email, the HRB-TMRN@nuigaw.ie, or you can contact me on tconway@nuigaw.ie, which is TCONWAY @nuigaw.ie. And any questions at all, don't be afraid to
really
contact us.
answer.
Yeah, and we've trial ambassadors, which these are people that are happy to go out to classes that are participating in the competition, or that are interested. And these ambassadors usually is me or Elaine. We go out and we go through the class and we talk about trial methodology, and we talk about the competition, We might do a little mini trial that will involve some donuts, so I've heard. And then hopefully, yeah, so if you would like some help or you would like someone to visit, don't be, just email. And yeah, I think that's mostly it. One other question was, what did other schools do in the past? And I said, you can go on to the website and look, but I'll go through quickly a few of the questions. So from last year, apart from the fishing one, there was also, do extra maths games improve test scores? Can 10 minutes of daily exercise increase students' fitness? Do teachers influence our decisions? It's an interesting one. Music, is it our memory's friend or foe? Another one is, does interactive spelling improve spelling results? And does writing on coloured pen when learning spellings and tables improve learning and concentration? So I think you can see a theme there is that, it shouldn't be too hard to find a question that, every day in the classroom that you think about, maybe daydream about. It doesn't take too long. Sometimes we find when we go out to visit a school to talk about their questions that they have, that before we've even gone out there, they've got a list of 20 questions.
Yeah. The hardest part is trying to narrow the questions
exactly.
down, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it's just, yeah. So that's kind of some of the main questions were asked. And we hope that was helpful for you. And, these webinars hopefully will have a few more in case more questions come in. And feel free to tweet us as well, because our Twitter handle is @StartSchools. So if you have a question, you can tweet us there as well. We're more than happy to help.
Also, we're really looking forward to seeing your trial questions coming into us.
Yeah.
The dates, just to give you
the dates are, so the deadline for submitting is on April 12th, and the schools will be notified on April the 29th, and then the top 3 schools come in for the awards ceremony, which is on this Friday the 17th of May. And as I said, it's a day we all really enjoy here, and the whole of the building gets involved, and we have workshops that will involve aquariums this year, spiders and snakes, all sorts of science-based workshops. Yeah, and yeah, it's a really nice day. And again, that video seems to show exactly what happens in the day. So yeah, I think that's everything. Unless you have anything to add.
No, thank you very much for listening. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Same as that. Have a nice day.